Probably the most frequent question I get asked is, how's the real estate market? And what they're really wondering right now is, how is the interest rate affecting the real estate market? So today I'm going to take a look at what are the three most significant changes that we've seen in today's real estate market. So it was just earlier this year that buyers were competing with 5 to 20 offers at any given time. And in addition to that, they had to waive the appraisal contingency, consider waiving the home inspection contingency, and had to be 15% over list price, along with offering a seller a free rent back. So obviously buyers were doing everything in their power to try to get their offer accepted because the inventory levels were less than 1 month. The challenge of this market is that if you were a 5 to 10% down buyer, you really didn't have much of a chance against an all-cash offer willing to go over list price and had no appraisal contingency. That being said, it's kind of important to understand how the interest rate has changed the landscape of the real estate market. So to kind of bring this in perspective, let's take a quick example. Let's take a home loan of $640,000 with a 3.5% interest rate. Your payment would be equivalent to $28.73 a month. Now, contrast that to the same loan amount, $640,000, with a 7% interest rate. Well, your payment would be $42.47 a month. That is a payment increase of $13.84 a month, which represents about a 48% increase from the $28.73 a month. That will leave a mark, as they say. So again, that's just one reason why it's made housing right now about, on average, 45% or so more expensive to buyers out there, which makes a challenge in terms of how much they can even qualify for, right? So as rates have changed, we have definitely experienced three significant changes that I'm going to share with you. Number one, obviously, is a decrease in demand, and as actually a byproduct of decrease in demand, we've seen an increase in the supply. And then lastly, the third change, which is the softening of prices. So let's break this down. So number one, the decrease in demand. It's no surprise that we've seen a pullback in buyer demand with the interest rate changes. So let's take a look at what we've seen as far as buyer demand over the past year in Ventura County. So take a look at October 2021, a year ago. We were experiencing 842 pending sales and 796 closed sales. Now, fast forward to October 2022, we are at 417 pending sales and 533 closed sales. So that change that we've seen represents about 50% reduction from a year ago, and that's for the pending sales. And the sold are 33% lower than a year ago. In addition to that, November is currently trending about 58% lower for both pending and solds from a year ago. Now, believe it or not, this really isn't bad news because, again, we were in an abnormal market. Now we're just returning to what we call a normal market. And change number two that we've seen to return us to a normal market is an increase in the supply of properties. So obviously it's a healthy consequence of lower demand. It's just been this steady increase of homes over the past year. So taking a look at the supply of homes, October 2021, we were at a measly 457 homes on the market. Fast forward to October 2022, we are now at 1,037 homes on the market, which represents a 71% increase over the past year. And November, well, November's trending about 114% over last year. Now, before buyers get too drunk with power, it's really helpful to understand that, again, we don't have an oversupply in the market. And to help you understand that, we take a look at what we call the month supply of inventory. The month supply of inventory currently for October is at 2.5 months of inventory, which is based on pending sales. November is currently at 3.3 months of inventory. So to put this in perspective, less than 3 months is actually considered a seller's market, and a 3 to 6 months is actually considered a neutral or balanced market. So we've officially entered the balanced or neutral market, which just means that you're going to have home inspections, you're not going to waive them, appraisal contingencies are not going to get waived at the onset of making an offer, which this leads us to change number 3, softening prices. So a couple things to kind of show you regarding evidence of price softening. Number 1, let's look at the list to sales price ratio. Now, this is real interesting. If you look back here in April and March, with the list to sale price ratio topped out at 103 to 104% from March to April, which just means that most of the time everything sold over asking price by 3 or 4% over asking price typically, and obviously sometimes more than that, but that's just the average. And now, fast forward again to October, well, we're starting to see sellers having to accept roughly 4% below their starting price, which is about an 8% swing from April of this year. So the last thing to actually show you the degree of price softening is the median sale price change. Back in April, we were at $875,000 for the median sale price. I'll fast forward again to October, median sale price is now at $785,000, which represents about a 10% drop from April. So what does this mean now if you're a buyer or seller? Well, as a buyer, actually you're on level ground. You actually be able to have opportunities and pick and choose to be able to negotiate the offer, not have to waive appraisal contingency, not have to waive inspection contingency, and you can negotiate. As a seller, well, waiting for another offer to show up while you have one in hand is probably not a great idea. Better off to work with the current offer and see if you can put the deal together, if possible. The other silver lining is if you do need to sell and buy, well, now you have a much easier opportunity to be able to sell your house contingent on finding a home of choice and try to work with that contingency period, as opposed to having to sell, rent back, maybe move out and wait for that next house to show up so that you can be non-contingent. So in my upcoming video, spoiler alert, I will actually uncover how to get a lower interest rate from the start. And of course, if you enjoy this content, please subscribe and hit the like button so you can be notified of new content in the future.